Hello and welcome back to Seconds Out. Today I'm going to take you through the evolution of female boxing and how far it's come in the last 30 years since first being sanctioned by the British Boxing Board of Control in 1998. Lauren Price and Natasha Jonas just headlined the Royal Albert Hall, a venue fitting for such an occasion, on just the day before Internationals Women's Day 2025. I spoke to three female boxers in Jane Couch MBE, Emma Dolan and Nina Hughes about their stories and how they got to where they are today. It all started with Jane Couch being the first licensed female fighter in the UK. I spoke to her about her story, what inspired her, and how tough that battle was in order for her to secure a license.
So it was about 2 years. So like there was lots of meetings before that. I was still fighting abroad. So I was flying out, coming back, going to Europe, coming back and going to London to because the solicitors didn't have any idea about boxing, so they had to they had to learn everything they could about professional boxing and the way professional boxing works. But it was a hell of a fight. I was harder than some of my fights in the ring. That one. But again, it was just because of the sexist attitude of the Boxing Board of Control, and I still think there's a long way to go with that. But I'm glad I did it then. I'm glad I'm not around now. Like when I look, I was just looking this morning at just a few bits and pieces on there, and some of the comments the girls get is like, wow, like you wouldn't think in this day and age. In my day, yeah, there was no social media, so I don't suppose it was as bad, but the girls now, if they put something on like X or Instagram and the abuse some of them get, it's terrible. So yeah, I'm glad I was the trailblazer. I was the OG of women's boxing, and just to see like tomorrow night, and I'm going to be there as well. I just think it's just brilliant. It's fantastic, and it's great to be a part of. So I saw a documentary about Christy Martin boxing. Did you go get you from Ireland? Channel 4 documentary, and I thought, oh, I'd like to have a go at that. Went down to the local gym in Fleetwood, and they was like, no, you can't come in here, girls can't box. I'm like, why not? So on telly, of course they can box. To do it in America. And it all just started from there, really. I got into Fleetwood Gym, and then I had to move on to Bristol as it got bigger, because I was boxing on all the big shows in America. I was on the same bill as like Roy Jones Jr., Prince Nassim Ahmed, Lennox Lewis. So I was having a great time boxing over there. But it just wasn't legal or licensed for women to box in the UK. So I just carried on boxing in America, defending my titles. And then I did an interview in America, and it got shown, I think it got shown in England. And a lawyer from London, a solicitor called Sarah Leslie, picked up the interview and then contacted me and was like, well, why can't you box in England? I went, I don't know. They just don't let women do it. So that was the start of getting the ball rolling to get women's boxing licensed in the UK. And thank God, after a few years of fighting, we succeeded, and here we are today with the second all-female show. It's brilliant.
The 2012 Olympics was a huge success. The first Olympics to sanction female boxing, putting more eyes on the side of the sport than ever before. Katie Taylor won gold this year as she was a rising star in the amateurs, making a lot of noise out of Ireland.
Yeah, I mean, massively. It should have been, but they should have been in the Olympics way before 2012. But then 2012 was so successful. I just couldn't understand like why it wasn't bigger after the Olympics, if you will. And then they go on to the next Olympics, which was like 2016, was it? And then 2020. And I don't think it was as big as maybe it should have been. I don't think we embraced how big that it really could be. I mean, you think now we're having this conversation now, and you've got some great fighters. You've got Caroline Dubois, you've got Tasha, you've got Lauren, you've got Savannah, you've got Chantel. You've got some really good fighters. But can you imagine, like, in 10 years' time, how much easier for the next generation of amateurs coming through? It'll be bigger again, but it'll never be as probably as big as men's boxing. I wouldn't have thought anyway.
All three fighters with very different reasons as to why they got into the sport. But regardless, they got themselves in and they didn't take no for an answer. They kept pushing, and now look at them. Nina Hughes, a former world champion. Jane Couch MBE, an international boxing Hall of Famer. Emma Dolan, a British and Commonwealth champion. Just showing how far this sport has come and the recognition that it's getting nowadays.
Fell into boxing completely by accident. Did a boxercise class for fitness, just purely to keep fit. No interest in boxing. Never watched it. Never had any nothing. No interest at all. And then, yeah, I just loved the training side. And then, yeah, I got actually talked into competing by my coach at the time.
And what was that feeling like? You mentioned not having that interest, which is a bit different. Usually, when you find someone who's got into boxing, it's kind of, oh, it's a family thing. I watched this fight. It's a bit of a
Yeah.
unique story hearing, oh, I just went to a boxercise class, and now next thing you know, you're fighting for world titles and flying out to Australia in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's mad. I mean, it's mad how quickly, obviously, well, not quickly, because obviously I've been boxing a long time now, but at the beginning, how quickly everything progressed. Shall we? I mean, I was on GB after only 18 months of boxing, and yeah, it was just that keep constant progression. And yeah, just once I had my first bout, yeah, I loved every second of it.
So how did I first get into boxing
Yeah,
like
like
ever?
what's your earliest memory of boxing? I guess I could say.
Watching Rocky on the telly, standard. Like my uncles all used to box and stuff, and my dad's been in and out of gyms, but never really like give boxing two thoughts. Really, I remember watching Rocky on television and stuff. My brother went to the local amateur gym twice a week with my dad, and I kind of just felt left out. So I started going up there watching, a bit nervous, didn't really want to join in. And then from there, just, yeah, loved it. As soon as I started, I didn't want to stop. And that was when I was 9, and I'm 26 now. So, yeah.
Very nerve-wracking, obviously, because you're a woman doing something that a man does. And in my day, it was only like in the 90s, so there was like, oh no, women can't do that. And I'm from a fishing town as well, which is quite ironic that that's a man's world and women are not allowed on the fishing boats when we used to have the fishing in Fleetwood. So I was quite used to um, sort of battling your way through, and but nothing like what I'd seen in the boxing world. I just wanted to box, and then the press in England just wouldn't. The boxing board, they just was really horrible about it. Like I said, it didn't really stop me because I had the chance to box on some of the biggest shows in the world in America. But I suppose not everybody's got that opportunity to go to America. And you want to be able to do, if you're doing a sport, you want to be able to do it in your own country. And it's just absolutely brilliant that the girls are getting the chance to do that now.
It is only within recent years that we've seen the sanctioning of English and British title fights in the women's side of the sport, allowing female fighters to have extra development in the sport. Originally, you'd make your pro debut, and then within 5 or 6 fights, you'd be getting spoke about going for world titles. And sometimes a fighter might not be ready for that jump. There wasn't that development stage that you get with the men's side of the sport, where you go down that traditional route of an area, English, British, European. We've now got that structure in the female side of the sport as well, which again shows that the work is getting done in order to make the female side of the sport just as fair as the men's side of the sport.
Yeah, exactly. There's a step up now, isn't there? As the depth's grown in women's boxing, everything else has to go with it. So you can't just sort of jump up to world title level now because the pool's getting bigger. So the depth of talent's getting wider as well. So it's nice to have that kind of, you feel like you've earned it a little bit more as well as you step through. You can start off with, I think there's even like Southern area titles and stuff like that, and obviously Midland area titles with the women's and stuff now. So you can start there and then you can build up to sort of English, British, Celtic titles, move up to Commonwealth, European, world. So there is that stepping, that ladder in place similar to the men's sort of thing. So it's really, really good.
Who do you feel are the pioneers for female boxing today? Who would you say are the biggest names and the ones that aspiring female boxers should be looking up to?
So what? Say you was an amateur now, and who you'd be looking at now?
Yeah, who are the ones that I
Well,
guess
you've
you could
got
say are the most inspiring to watch?
you've got Natasha, you've got Chantel. You've got Sandy Ryan. You've got some great talent coming through. I just don't think they just quite get enough recognition as they should. And then I suppose, you've got all the girls that are on the show tomorrow, all them girls that are in the amateurs now be looking at, all the girls that are on there. I just think it just needs that, like, more positive press, and not it's not as negative as it used to be. But like I said, with the social media, how it is, some of the comments that you read and you're like, wow, like, I can't believe that people are even still saying them sort of things that they said to me in the 90s. But it's just where we are.
Just keep pushing, no matter what obstacles get in your way. Just keep pushing and believing in yourself and believing in your own abilities and train hard.
I hope you've enjoyed my little brief history and take through of female boxing and highlighting how far the sport has come for the females. A long way to go, but a lot of females now making themselves known, some of them being the faces of the sport. And we're all here for an equal sport.